Hello friends, this is Raj Sastry from Raj Option Trading. Today is August 8, 2021. I want to demystify TTM Squeeze indicator and make sure you all understand what is TTM Squeeze and how to take advantage of TTM Squeeze. So with that, TTM Squeeze is a volatility and momentum indicator introduced by John Carter. It capitalizes on tendency for the stock to break out strongly after consolidating in a tight trading range. Have you ever noticed a stock which is stuck in the trading range for a long time and you don't know whether it's a dead money if you buy now or should you wait? So this indicator will tell you when to buy. So it gives you very good swing trading opportunity. And TTM squeeze indicator measures relationship between two studies, a Bollinger Band and the Keltner channel. And when the volatility increases, the distance between the two bands in the Bollinger Band increases. And when the volatility decreases, and the distance also decreases. One thing to know, I know many of you have seen the Bollinger Bands, but good to understand when the vol increases, the distance between the band increases. So you know there is a volatility increase at that point. But when the vol declines, distance also declines. The squeeze takes advantage of quiet period in the market when the vol has decreased significantly. And when the volatility decreased, you know at the time market is building up energy for the next major move, higher or lower. So TTM squeeze, the quiet periods are identified when bands narrow in the width to a point where they actually are inside the Kelton channel. So this is a key point. So how do you know when how to identify quiet periods? This is when Bollinger Bands narrow in the width to a point where they're actually inside the Kelton channel. This marks the period of reduced volatility, and science market is taking a significant breather and building up the steam for next move. Very important to notice this. You don't need to look at Bollinger Band and Keltner study. That's where TTM squeeze indicator comes to play. A trade signal occurs when the Bollinger Bands then move back outside Kelton channel. So that's your trade signal. Bollinger Bands are contracted so much they went inside Kelton channel, but now they started to move back outside. That's your trade signal. So when this happens, even before this happens, when the Bollinger Band is within Kelton channel, you will see red dots in the TTM squeeze indicator. So the red dots will tell you there's a tight compression of volatility, and at the time, Bollinger Band is inside the Kelton channel. The first green dot after a series of red dots indicate that energy is ready to be released. So this is your indicator. The first green dot after a series of red dots that tells you now you can go buy. But before you buy or sell, you also have to look at one more thing. That's where the oscillator will come into play. There is a longer term C wave, there is a shorter term A wave. When the first green dot occurs, if the longer term C wave, if that's above zero, then go long. Basically go buy stock, buy call option. On the contrary, if it is below zero, then go short. You can buy put options, and you could sell stock short. So that's in a nutshell. We'll go into a little more detail here. So if you look at a chart like this, I typically love looking at multiple time frames. So here I got a 1-day time frame and a 3-day 2-year time frame and a 5-year weekly time frame and a 10-year monthly time frame. And we got here CLF, Cleveland Cliffs, a stock, just to articulate the point. So we have here a dot, a bunch of red dots here in the 3-day chart. That tells you at this point, Bollinger Band is inside the Keltner tunnel. There is a lot of volatility. It's a low volatility and it's compressed at this time. And as you see here, red dots are forming here. At the same time, as we scan through here, we got a C wave. The C wave is the lower wave here. The C wave is above zero. Since the C wave is above zero, that means you can go long, you can buy stock, you could buy call option. And as you scan through here, you got a red dot forming here, and at the time C wave, which is a lower wave here, longer term wave that's above zero, that tells you at this time this stock is a buy. You could buy stock, call option, delta 70 or higher. And you could also see here, we got the wave right here. This is a shorter term, we call it A wave. So in a nutshell, you got to understand, when the squeeze happens, if the C wave is above zero, then there is a good chance it will fire on the higher side. And first green dot will tell you it's a good time to buy at this time. But some many folks that I know, they don't wait till the first green dot, but they will see what's going on. And when the red dots are there, meaning there is a tight compression of volatility, how is the C wave, longer term C wave? If it is above zero, folks typically try to get ahead and buy in advance of the first green dot. So that's in a nutshell. And also, as you can see here, as it comes to A wave, which is right here, if the bar is yellow, that means it's bullish. If the bar is red, that means bearish. If the bar is above zero, that means it's bullish. If it is below zero, it's bearish. And when it comes to C wave, which is a longer term wave, the light blue bar is bullish and the dark blue bar is bearish. If the bar is above zero, that's bullish. If the bar is below zero, it's bearish. That's a quick cheat for you. So with that, what we'll actually do is we'll go into Thinkorswim platform and we'll see how to set up some of these scans, so that way you can look at and identify when these squeezes are happening. So with that, I will jump back into Thinkorswim from by TD Ameritrade. So what I have done here is I'm in the scan tab here. I can remove everything so we can start from scratch. In the scan tab, you can, as and when we click on scan tab, it will bring up a window like this. I could close everything here and set up a quick scan here, and I can close this also. So what we'll do now is we'll add filters. I'll quickly add filter here, stock, and I will say I want to look at stocks which are maybe say more than $10, just to get this going. So I will just say mark, or I could even say last. So last and minimum I'll say $10. There you go. And we'll add a couple more stock filters here. I will say stock here. I want to look at stocks that are a little more volume wise, a little high volume. So I will go here and choose a volume here and say volume is minimum is I want to look at least say 500,000. There you go. And let's also add one more thing, which is our TTM Squeeze. I will add TTM Squeeze now. To add TTM Squeeze, you have to go to add filter here and go to studies, and I'll click on the study. Here in the study, I will go to license studies, and if you see here, there's a TTM Squeeze scan. So we want to choose TTM Squeeze scan here and add that. So as you can see here, when you add TTM Squeeze scan, it's got a daily, indicated by D here, but you can change it to daily or weekly as an example. For example, I could say 3-day, 4-day, 1 week, 1 month. Typically, I look at a daily, 3-day, weekly, and month. So that way, I get a good idea. So with this, let's go with the daily right now and do a quick scan here. As you see here, we got a bunch of stocks here, and we got a lot of stocks. So you could also do one thing, just to minimize number of lines here. I could also say, what, I want to see more than 1 million volume. So I could say 1 million. There you go. This will narrow down my list of stocks that I will be looking at. Typically you want to look at very good high volume, so that way you don't get too much false positive. And you could also say here, instead of scan all symbols, I will say scan only category all stocks, so that way I don't get some of these crazy characters here. There you go. I think we got a good size here. So what I will do here is I will save this here. You could go here and save scan query, Raj TTM Squeeze. So this is how you create a scan. So once you have the scan that you save, in this case I saved it as a Raj TTM SQ, then you could look some up. For example, as I scan through here, I want to see what's a good stock that I can buy. Um, you could look at some of these stocks here. For example, Pubmatic here. As you scan through, it looks good. Typically, I like to trade stocks like Pubmatic. I would also look at things like DDD as an example. CLSK is a good one. So you could now, instead of looking at this here, you could go back to a typical market watch type setup here. In the market watch, I have Raj TTM SQ set up here, so that way whatever you save in the scan tab, you can bring them up in the in the market watch and look at that. So as you look at here, I got all the squeeze scans that I set up saved. And as you scan through here, what I've done here is I've looked at, I want to know where there is a daily squeeze. For example, I have CTTD that tells you there is a TTM squeeze daily indicator, and I got a TTM squeeze 3-day indicator here and a TTM squeeze weekly indicator. The moment it says B, it means it's in a buy range right now. So this interests me. It says B, and B. So I could click on this and see what's going on here. And I will go to TTM squeeze chart here, right here. So as we look at AEO, American Eagle Outfitters, so as you can promptly see here, we got a dot formed in the daily squeeze chart like we talked about. And when the squeeze is there, right now the C wave, longer term C wave is above zero. And if it's a light blue, it's a bullish. Right now it's a dark blue, it's a little bit bearish. But John Carter says, you know what, if it's above zero, then buy. So that's why this will fit into a buy category right now. You could buy the stock at this time because right now it's in a buy category. And as you scan through here, there is a squeeze forming in weekly 3-day chart. Also, it's a three-day chart. So in the 3-day chart, we got a squeeze forming, and when the squeeze is forming, we got a longer term A wave above zero. That tells you at this time there is a very high chance that stock may go up. And there is also a squeeze forming in the weekly chart here for AEO, and right now, as you can see here, the longer term A wave is above zero. So in all, using John Carter's TTM trade methodology, this is a good time to buy AEO. And you could also look at one more thing, as you want to buy. So you could look at a different chart to see a little more better picture. So for that, I'll go to a daily chart here. As an example, if I go to 1-day chart here and look it up here, as you see here, I got AEO. There you go. So as we look at AEO, looks like there is a earnings coming up in a couple of days here. Earnings on 9/2 in 19 days. That's something to keep a watch on. Right now, IV percentile is 25.2. That tells me IV is low at this time. Typically, when you want to buy stock based on TTM squeeze indicator, it's good to buy when the IV percentile is lower. So that typically gives a little better signal. So in this case, coast is clear, IV percentile is low. You could buy the stock or even call option at delta 70 or higher. And as you scan through here right now with the DMI indicator, DMI, the blue line is trying to go up. That's a bullish indicator. At some point, we can have a positive crossover where the blue line crosses over red line. That will be a bullish indication. And on the balance volume is all positive. That's good. And check-in money flow is indicating right now smart money is flowing out of the stock, which which sometimes happens. So, but at least we got two good indicators. Volume on the balance volume is good, telling people are buying the stock, and DMI can turn into a positive bullish crossover, and RSI is improving. So with that, you could buy AUO stock or AUO call option. So that's one way to play. And we'll go back to our market watch here. We got a couple more, as you can see here. And one more stock I like is XLX's. Right now, XLX's, as you can see here, we got a daily squeeze here in a buy range. I could look at XLX's here. So as I scan through here, XLX is as usual the dot forming here, so that means there is a squeeze, a compression is happening right now, and when this is happening, the longer term C wave is below zero. That tells you, you know what, right now it's bearish. So, folks will pay attention to this. But sometimes you could also scan through this. Okay, even though it's bearish in the shorter term, look at longer term as we go forward. So there is also a couple of these dots forming in a monthly chart. And when this happens, we got longer term C wave above zero. That tells you if you have a little bit longer horizon, it's okay to buy the stock here, because on the monthly chart here, coast is clear. So there is a A wave is C, longer term C wave is above zero. So with that, you can be a contrarian here by looking at the way the chart is looking. Right now looks like this C wave is trying to, the curve of this line is trying to trend up, so that's a good sign. But in the monthly chart, the C wave is above zero. That's a bullish sign. So with that, you could go buy XLX's stock, or you could even buy call option, especially because stock has fallen off so drastically, as you can see here, trying to make some improvement here. So with that, you could also look at a chart here, XLX's. As you see here, I think earnings is coming up on 920, and XLX is right now, I think, on the balance volume is picking up, and smart money is also flowing into the stock. IV percentile is low, 36.7. So that tells you, what, it's a good one to buy at this time. You could buy call or stock itself. So with that, let's go back to our scan here. So we looked at a daily scan. Similarly, you could do same thing. You could set up a weekly scan here. As you can, I will show you again. So we have basically selected a filter, TTM Squeeze scan, by going into license studies and TTM Squeeze scan, as you can see here. And now what I will do is I will do a weekly here instead of daily. I will choose weekly. So weekly scans will last for a couple of weeks. Daily scans will last for a couple of days. So if you look at the weekly scan, what I'll do is I'll go save this one here, save scan query. So it will be saved in my Raj TTM Squeeze. And now, because I have it saved, I can go back to market watch here. It will pull up my weekly scan right now. So typically, if you are a little bit, swing trader, it's good to look at weekly scans, because that will last for a couple of weeks. So here we got, AEO, same stock that we looked at. It's got a daily scan, a 3-day scan, and a weekly scan. That's a good one. And I should also look at maybe here BDN. Right now, BDN has got a daily scan and a monthly scan. Let's look at this stock here to see what it is. Let's go back here to scan chart here. So BDN looks like stock is pretty nice looking chart here, goes up and down and up and down. Right now it's trying to make its way up, and we got squeeze forming, as you can see here, dot, tight compression right now. When this is happening, longer term C wave is above zero. That's a bullish sign. And as you scan through here, we look at 3-day chart here. We got dots forming here, red dot, tight compression here. At the time, the C wave, longer term C wave is above zero. And there is also a dot in the weekly. And when that's happening, we got longer term C wave above zero. And we got, that's pretty much, there is nothing on the monthly side. That tells you at this time BDN, it's okay to buy the stock itself, or you could even buy call option delta 70 or higher. So let's look at maybe one more. And before I do that, let me go into a different chart here. So if you look at this chart here, as you can see here, BDN looks like, this here also in the DMI chart, the blue line wants to go up. That means this can have a bullish crossover and implied wall. This is one thing to watch out. Typically, I like to see IV a little bit lower. So I would not buy BDN at this time. I would, as you can see here, implied wall. This blue line is trying to trend up here. I would rather wait for a candidate where IV percentile is lower. This is a little bit high for me. I would pass this one and look at next opportunity. So for that, as you scan through here, I put IV percentile also here so that way it's easy for you. As I scan through here, look at some of the favorite stocks. So Levi, I think Levi has been dropping off late. Could be a good one. You could look at that. IV percentile implied wall is pretty low for Levi's, which is 23. And we got one more here, Pod. I think this one also is a good one. Little higher price stock here. And I think let's look at the Levi's here. If you look at Levi's here, click on Levi's and go to TTM trade chart here. As you see here, Levi's, we got a dot forming in the 3-day chart here. When that's happening, we got longer term C wave above zero. That tells you could buy the stock right now or buy call option. And we got a squeeze in the weekly chart. When that's happening, longer term C wave is above zero. That tells you it's a buy signal. And also, as you can see here, we got nothing in the monthly chart. So with that, coast is clear. You could buy Levi's stock or call option and go from there. And you could also look at a different chart here. As you look at Levi's here, looks like RSI is improving. As you can see here, implied wall is pretty low, so you could buy Levi's. Even you could buy call option or stock itself. On the balance volume indicates people are buying the Levi's stock at this time. Volume is improving on up days. And check-in money flow is saying smart money is flowing out, which is okay. You could, many times all the indicators won't line up for you. You should look at 2 or 3 indicators and take it from there. So with that, I would buy Levi's stock or call option and take it from there. So we can also do one thing, we can also look at monthly squeeze. So if I go here, instead of week, I could choose month here and just scan. And we got very less number of stocks now with the monthly squeeze. So I could save this into Raj squeeze. And to look at this squeeze, you could go to market watch here. I got all this lined up here. And as you can see here, I got Fox here. Fox looks like it's a good one. There is a daily squeeze and weekly squeeze in NCTY. I used to trade this stock a lot. It's a nice Chinese stock here. You could look at this stock here. It's already up 11% in single day. So if you go to NCTY, so as you can see here, we got a monthly squeeze, dot here that tells you at this time Bollinger Band is inside the Kelton channel. And when this is happening, as you can see here right now, C wave is below zero. So what John Carter says, wait, don't buy at this time because the C wave is below zero. John Carter instead says you can buy put options or you could short the stock at this time. That's how this indicator works. If the lines are above zero, you could buy stock or call option. Because it's below zero, you have to watch out. And typically folks also look at the curve here. If you look at the C wave, it's a curving and trying to go up. Some folks look at that too, but it's good to buy when the wave is above C wave is above zero. So with that, let's also look at a different chart here just to get a little better idea. As you see here, NCTY earnings is coming up in 14 days, as you can see here, and people are buying the stock. On the balance volume is going up, and DMI is bullish, as you can see here. Smart money is flowing in. So in contrary to what we saw in the TTM chart, because curve is kind of curving up in the TTM chart, you could go against the normal grains and you could buy some of this NCTY on a down day. That's also okay. So that gives you an idea on how to look at TTM squeeze. With that, I think it's a wrap. Thank you very much. Happy trading and investing. Please subscribe.